With the 2025 national budget speech just a day away, critical tax and economic policy changes will soon be unveiled. Experts believe Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana will announce a raft of tax adjustments, including value-added tax or VAT, personal income tax and corporate tax to cover the revenue shortfall. Minister Godongwana's speech will deliver his speech this year in Cape Town. Keith Engel, the CEO of the South African Institute of Taxation, joins us now to get the view of the institution ahead of tomorrow. Keith, thank you so much for joining us on Point. Before we even get to tomorrow's budget speech, we've just seen that the latest on the unemployment rate slightly going down. This, of course, ahead of the budget is good news, but still the unemployment still remains quite high by many standards.
Yes, it is quite high. I mean, I think the problem here is that your unemployment is quite high and your economy is not growing. So ultimately, to get tax receipts, people have to make money. If they're not making money, there's nothing to tax. So the key is always economic growth. You're not going to tax your way to economic growth. And we seem to be on a different cycle. The growth cycle is really outside the Minister of Finance. It really comes up to other departments. So yes, it's a bit of an issue. The real issue that you're talking about, though, is are we going to have tax increases? Yeah. And every year we hear the same thing. I'm not sure if we will, but I may have jumped in.
Of course, I was going to ask about that. You know, there's a lot of conflicting reports about whether or not this year is a good year to increase those taxes, especially because we saw VAT going up back in 2018, up to 15%. And in some countries, you see that it's hovering between 18 and 20%. But can South Africa and South Africans and consumers in general afford a VAT that high? Corporate tax, it's also seen to be going up at around, I think, 28 or 23%. Can that work for corporates? Will they be able to still remain motivated and also invest in a country like South Africa?
Well, look, I think we really can't afford tax increases. Now, every year, there's always this pressure because the minister is falling short on revenue. So people start going around saying there's going to be a tax increase. I'm very doubtful there'll be a value-added tax increase. There are some pressures here. NHI is floating around. Yeah. We've fallen a little bit behind. So you might see some tinkering. But the minister just dropped the rate from 28 to 27. The minister knows the political problems of raising the VAT. They're talking about zero rating. So they're going to probably provide some relief, and then what they're going to do is have some offset. So if they are going to increase taxes, what they typically do is they don't adjust for inflation. Right. That is usually the first place they can get money very easily without raising rates. They might need to do a few things, like we're very concerned about the medical aid credit. Yeah. Those are probably going to go, if not this year or next year. But I don't expect a mass amount of tax increases. This Minister of Finance has been pretty careful because he knows that if we increase taxes any further, we're just going to break the economy.
Yeah, there's two taxes that I'd like us to zero on in. You did mention also the zero rating. There's been organizations calling for the extension of the zero-rated goods to around 40 items. And while the Ministry of Finance or the Deputy Minister has previously said that that costs the economy or the public purse about 30 billion rand, and the more you add, the more this will, of course, mean that the government will have to spend on these items. How does the minister balance the needs of the poor against a bulging purse that can ill afford any more spending?
Yeah, well, so probably you're going to have a substitute. So let's say you have a few zero rating items. I don't think they're going to announce a lot of zero rating items. They'll probably pick, if they do, maybe a few. They know the presidency is pushing pretty hard on this, but then they'll give it some offset. So where they'll probably offset it back is they could go after, alcohol, excise, sugar taxes, some of the side taxes to make up for it. So they'll probably do it in that way. Maybe they'll cut something else, but it'll probably be small adjustments for the small offset. That's probably the way they're going to go.
Yeah. Let's talk about the sugar tax. There's also opposing views. An organization, HELA, calling for a 20% increase in that hike. And the Sugar Association saying that this will further dissipate the sugar industry, which is already on its knees. Do you think this is a gamble that the minister is likely to take?
I don't think he's going to go that far. If he wants, he might take it up a little bit. But the problem, again, is that we have these taxes, like the beer taxes, the alcohol taxes, the sugar taxes. They become political taxes. And once they become political, they don't work. Really, when we're talking about a tax, we're talking about revenue. And the proof that the sugar tax has reduced diabetes is just not there. But again, we have political agendas being driven by special NGO groups that are driving these things. And frankly, I'm just not in support of them. But they sound good, and so there's pressure. I don't think the minister knows that jobs are at risk. So if there's going to be, it might be a slightly elevated increase, but it's not going to be anything near what the NGOs are asking for.
Yeah. As we wrap up, give me the taxes that you think will see changes in, and others that you think definitely not, they're not going to be touched. Just a reminder once more.
Just a reminder, we're not going to raise VAT. And, they're just not going to do that. I just don't see it. It's politically death for them. You can see the DA is fighting it. I don't think they're going to raise the rate on corporate. I think it's going to be smaller items. Like I said, medical aid credits, that's very much at risk. You might find that they're going after some avoidance loopholes to pick up some money. Maybe the alcohol sugar tax will go up a little bit more to cover for zero rating. Carbon taxes, I guess they're kind of stuck on that. They're probably going to try to fight them in small ways, maybe transfer duty, things like that. But I don't expect them to go across. And then they're going to put pressure again on the revenue service. Now, the best way to get money, frankly, is giving more money to the revenue service. And what the revenue service has been asking for is give us better ability on data. If they can improve that, that'll be more worth the money than anything else.
Keith Engel, thank you so much for your time. Keith is the CEO of the South African Institute of Taxation.